Welcome to the Remnant Fly #2 video. If you haven't heard about the Remnant series, there will be a link somewhere up in the video frame here, as well as in the description, to what the Remnant flies are all about. Last week we published I published the Remnant Fly #1, and every week we're going to try and put out a video of Remnant flies, which are flies that are made up of snippets of material from past projects, past fly time. So I won't go into great detail about what they're all about, other than go check out that video and it'll explain it a little bit more. But this is all on the fly. I've never tied this fly before. It's just kind of freehanding some ideas, grabbing a few materials and putting it together. So I've got this kind of neon caddis thing going here today, and I think it's a pretty interesting fly. It's got some weight to it on the inside to get it down. Who knows, maybe I'll take it up to Michigan and try and get some steelhead or salmon with this thing one day. That's the Remnant Fly #2, and I'll go ahead and get started. Through my box today at what I might want to do. Took me a while. I started messing around with some different things, looking at some flat braided tinsel and thinking about some shrimp kinds of things and some nymph kinds of things, and basically looking for a body material. I was looking for some like V-rib or D-rib or something like that, but I've got some Chartreuse monofilament. And ended up kind of moving towards a scud nymph type thing here, and that's what we're looking at. This is a Mustad R49, I think is the number. It'll be in the description down below. I'll definitely look it up, but I think it's an R49. I'm gonna go ahead and debarb this hook. This is like a curved caddis hook, which is what I was looking for. Was a curved caddis hook, or even like a longer, like a Tiemco R200 longer shank curved caddis hook. So I'm going to start by putting some lead wire. I found a little bit. This is about a .020 lead wire, and I'm just going to put some on the front part of the shank just to give this just a little bit of bulk and some weight to get this down. I'm going to smooth that off. Not exactly certain how this body is going to turn out. I know what I'm going for, but I may not get exactly what I'm looking for. So we're going to try a couple of different things. So I'll get that lead up front a little bit. If you don't want something quite that big, use like a .010 or something. I'm going to start out with some white thread. This is a Uni 8/0 in white, simply because the body of this is going to be this flat pearl braid, and I don't want to darken it up. I'm going to attach that a little bit behind the eye of the hook, running it down to that lead. Then I'm going to reach down to the end of the lead back here to get it attached and start building a little bit of a thread dam. This is going to do two things for me. One, it's going to keep that lead from shifting up and down the hook shank. It'll get pushed up on the front, and it's going to give me a nice transition. I want it a little bit behind the head space, because when I palmer and hackle right up in the head space here, I don't want it to crowd it. So I get that thread dam built up in front and in back, especially in back, because again, I want to make certain I have a decent transition here for the abdomen on this. So I'm actually going to stretch this thread dam out a little bit. You have to pinch that lead down just a little bit. That'll make it pretty smooth. Now I'm going to run my thread down the bend of the hook all the way down. Actually, I'm going to bring it back up here, now I think about it, because it's going to be easier for me to tie in this flat braid if I have it, if I tie it in up here. Now I'll wrap that flat braid down all the way to, wait a minute, stop, hold the phone. Just realized I got a rib I want to put in on this, or at least a possible rib. So I actually need to come back a step. I've got some Chartreuse monofilament. I've used it for different things in different flies, usually for a rib or something like that. And that's what I'm going to use it for here. So I'm going to attach that on the underside here, or down along my side, and get that down to the very end of the bend of the hook. Bring that back up. Now I'll attach my flat braid. Having never tied this fly before, particularly this fly, as I said, sometimes you kind of rework your process and your thinking as you tie the fly and get it where you want it. Now this is about where the body's going to stop right here, because I'm going to put a little thorax of some dubbing on there. So now I'm going to turn this upside down. It's going to make it a little bit easier for me. I'm going to start palmering that flat braid on. I want to kind of keep it at a steep angle back here because I want a thinner body. As I'm moving forward, I'm going to change that angle so that it's overlapping more and I'm getting that a little bit thicker. I'll wrap that in, trim away the excess, still have another snippet for another fly, tie that in. Now, my thought originally, there's, if you ever tied a Mojave shrimp pattern, it is tied with some V-rib or clear mono originally over an underbody of some flat braid, sparkle braid, whatever, with some bands of thread in it. And my original thought was to use the flat braid to do kind of the same thing, and then to use the monofilament, or like I said, I was looking for some D-rib, just as kind of an overbody to give this more of a, I don't know, kind of a nymph, caddis kind of thing going on here. So I'm going to try that here just to see how it looks, but I may not like it, so I may end up unwrapping this and just putting this in as a rib. Don't know. That's actually kind of looking pretty cool. This mono has virtually no stretch in it, and so it's a little bit more difficult to get those wraps right next to each other. So if I were to do this in the future, this particular fly, I might actually go with some vinyl rib or something instead of monofilament. But that's what I had in my Remnant box. And this one was a little bit short. So I'm going to bring that around. Sorry about my finger, you can't see, but I got to hold it in place. I'm going to bring it around at my side and kind of wrap that in on the underside here. Trim that away. I'll smooth this all up just a little bit. Actually, even, where's my, oh, there they are, my other pliers. I want to squish that down just a little bit, kind of smooth that off a little. So I'm going to smooth all that off, bring my thread forward. Now I'm going to change over to some 8/0 uni in black. If I had used black when tying all of that in, that flat braid would have ended up a lot darker. So that's why I used the white. You could use the white in the whole fly, and then when it comes to doing the head, before you actually finish the head, just take a black Sharpie and color the thread. Some people prefer to do that. So now I'm going to put in some dubbing. This is just, in my Remnant bag box there, I've got a whole bunch of little snippets of dubbing. This is just some black dubbing. I thought about doing something a little brighter, sticking with a bright Chartreuse, but I thought I need to get something in here with a little bit of contrast. So I think I'm going to go with probably about a 2-inch or so dubbing noodle. It's got a little bit of some other colors in it. That's what happens when you get all those snippets kind of piled up against one another. Yeah, we're kind of looking like a green caddis worm, aren't we? That's all right. Okay. So I'll clean that up just a little bit. This is where I'm going to tie in my hackle. In my bag of tricks here, in the Remnant bag, I have another one full of little snippets. So I'm going to use this little bit of Chartreuse Guinea hackle. It's got the dark colors, gives me a nice contrast. I'm going to hold it by the tip here. These fibers might be longer than what I really want, but we'll see how it turns out. Hold it by the tip there. Stroke those back. Now I got a little handle to hold on to, and I'll tie that in. If I can grab it. Get back here. Okay. So I'll anchor that down real well. Make certain that's all clean and smooth. And then I'll grab my other hackle pliers, excuse my locking the camera. And I'll get a few wraps of this in. So I got about 2.5 wraps of that in, and I am at the end. Not much to that feather. If I was going to do these, some other ones I'd have, I don't know, Guinea might not work because they get long real quick unless you can get some thin ones. But I might go with a Chartreuse hen or something like that, Chartreuse and black hen, maybe even a laced wing or something. But definitely a little bit longer feather because I barely had enough to get those 2.5 wraps in. So stroke all of these out of the way so I can get those down and secured and make a little head to the fly. So there we go. That's basically the Remnant fly number 2, made out of stuff from my box. There's a fly, a PM caddis, I think, if memory serves me correct. It's kind of like this. I've seen a number of caddis, bigger caddis flies for steelhead and salmon, that are kind of like this. So I don't know, we'll call this a neon caddis maybe. No, actually we'll call it remnant number 2, remnant fly number 2. But you can call it a neon caddis if you want. Again, I think I probably have a little bit shorter barbs on the resulting hackle, but you never know. Bounce this down along the bottom. It may glow real well. It's got some nice contrast to it. So, and you know what they say, ain't no use if it ain't chartreuse. So there's your remnant fly number 2. Hope you enjoyed that. Thanks for joining me at the Vise today. I hope you learned at least a new pattern, if not a new technique, maybe a tip or trick here and there. If you have any questions about this fly or any of the techniques used in constructing this pattern, please leave them in the comments section down below. If you go to the trouble to ask a question, I'll go to the trouble to answer it. If you'd like to help dressed irons, please share this video with your friends and anybody you think that might enjoy this pattern. Until next time, remember, it's fly tying. If you're not having fun, then you're doing it wrong.